Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mystery Channel. I'm your host, Mystery, and today I'm so happy to be finally sitting down to do a year in review of the looking back on one full year here on YouTube, one full year doing this little hobby of mine, one full year of experimenting and learning about video editing. It's been a pretty wild and kind of crazy ride. I don't really even know where to start this. We're just going to be kicking back and relaxing. We're going to be talking a while today. That's all we're going to be doing. I guess really I would just want to spend a few minutes talking about what it has been like, some of the things I've learned, some of the things I still haven't learned how to do, and what I'd like to see happen, what I hope is going to happen, and talk just I don't know, just talk about it, really. I guess I guess it should go ahead and be addressed. Obviously, if I suppose if I technically wanted to be incredibly accurate to the whole year in review thing, I would have put this video out on the 1st of July, because that would have been exactly 1 year. But I wanted to give Freddy Fish her sort of limelight for the month, right? That's the very first video I ever made was Freddy Fish 3. Just the locked to 10 minutes at a time on the free version of Bandicam, and I had no idea what I was doing. but I said back then, I did it because I had some friends who had no clue about Freddy Fish, had no clue about point and click adventure games. Somehow it had flown under her radar, and I had a couple other friends kind of like elbowing me to do it, and I had batted the idea back and forth for a couple years about maybe starting a YouTube channel. And I remember wanting to do YouTube. Well, not do YouTube, but like I remember wanting to put stuff up on YouTube all the way back, back when it was a tiny little website just getting started. I remember how cool it was to see videos and things hosted on the website, and I remember thinking it was super cool. I think the first thing that really got me into the idea of doing not video editing, but or video making per se, was probably World of Warcraft. The machinima scene that blew up for a time and unfortunately has kind of died off now. I mean, it still exists after a fashion, but not like it used to. But that was so cool to me, and of course I watched videos of like how they did it, and it's looking back on it, it's the jankiest mess. It's it's like get WoW model. The way they used to do it was like get WoW model viewer, load your model in WoW model viewer, get him kitted out in whatever outfit you want to hand him, and then like record him doing animations using Adobe, like Adobe Acrobat or Photoshop. And then you take that recording, put it into Photoshop, cut the background out, and then stick him onto a background image from the game, because there was another WoW model viewer. There was like a secondary client or something where you could load the zones, load little images of the zones, and I mean, so much of it was it was duct tape ingenuity at its finest, but it was so cool. It was so cool to me. And so I can remember way back then, like, wanting to put stuff up on YouTube and just never had the means, never had the computer or the equipment. Don't really have the computer or the equipment now, to be honest, but it's been really fun. And of course YouTube has changed drastically. I don't think anybody really expected that to be a business when it first came out. And I certainly do not want my channel to ever become a business. I enjoy hobbies because they are something for me to do to relax. You know, I draw. In my personal time, I draw, and I paint, and I play music, and I've had people say, like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you, you know? And I thought about it over the years, and I said, because it's my hobby. If I turn it into a job, for me, and this isn't for everybody, obviously, but if I turn it into a job for me, it stops being a passion and starts being a chore. So I don't want this to turn into work. I want this to be something that is fun. I fully believe in finding something you want to do, having no idea how to do it, and just chuck yourself in there and figure it out, you know, as you go. Whether it's painting or drawing or writing or playing music or making little videos on the internet. You know, just get on in there and see what you can do, see what you can come up with. When I first started my very first videos, my God, it was a janky process. Janky isn't even the half of it. Oh, it was so bad. So, I've shown it off before, but and maybe I'll stick a picture in here later. But I record, or not record, I do all my editing in a program called Mixcraft Home Studio. And specifically, the version of Mixcraft Home Studio that I have is Mixcraft 6. Now, I don't know about more modern versions. I think they're up to Mixcraft 9 at this point. But Mixcraft 6 cannot locally render a video into an MP4. It can render a video into an AVI or a WMV. And it can render a sound file into a couple more options, but it cannot do an MP3 for a sound file. So the real problem came in with Bandicam only records as an MP4. And so I recorded that first video of Freddy Fish, and the original one did not have, none of them actually have an option for the volume control of the game. And so what I had to do was I had to record the game audio and record my microphone audio as two separate tracks. And then I would come in and I would put the tracks together, and then I would adjust manually. I would turn the game volume down in Mixcraft, and I might turn myself up, you know. And I couldn't do it. I could not do it because Mixcraft couldn't recognize an MP4. So I read online that you could get something called a codec pack. And that would let, if you installed this thing, then Mixcraft would be able to read the codecs of the file types and thus be able to load those files. However, that looked very technological and scary to me, so I opted not to do that. And instead, I found a program called WinFF. And what WinFF it's a file converter program. So I would record my 10 minutes of video with Bandicam, and then I would take that video, load it with WinFF, and have to wait for it to convert the video frame by frame from an MP4 into a WMV. Just for me to then load that into Mixcraft so that it would be happy with it. And then I could do all the adjustments and whatnot, and then I would render it in Mixcraft into another WMV, just render down the volume changes back into, another WMV. And then, because I uploaded that very first episode, 10-minute WMV took like 4 hours to upload. That wasn't happening. So then for the second one, I took the WMV that has now had its audio levels adjusted, and I put that into Windows Movie Maker, where I converted it back to an MP4. Back to an MP4, which is a considerably smaller file type, and then that is what I would upload to YouTube. And suddenly an equally 10-minute long video, instead of taking 4 hours, took 30 minutes. And that is what I did for all of Freddy Fish and all of Spy Fox. And it got into this rhythm where I would have the full thing recorded. So I might have, I forget how long it was, 10 episodes or 8 episodes or whatever it was. So I'd have these 10-minute videos. We'll just say 10. I had these 10-minute videos. And so I'd get the first one converted with WinFF, and I'd be working on that in Mixcraft while simultaneously converting the next episode 2. So I'm rendering episode 1 while I'm converting episode 2, and I got onto a rhythm, man. Let me tell you, I was on this pendulum swing. I was back and forth, because then once you get to the third episode, I'm rendering the WMV of episode 1 into the MP4 with Windows Movie Maker, while I'm rendering the audio edited WMV of episode 2 into the final WMV, while I'm converting the MP4 of episode 3 into a WMV. And so I get on this roll like a locomotive. Like I'm like Jethro Tull up in there, and no way to slow down. I was going. And obviously, in case you had any doubts, that is not really practical or effective. It was exhausting for me to be like simultaneously managing 3 different things, because essentially in the time it would take to render in Mixcraft would be around the same time it took to convert in WinFF. And then as long it took a little longer to render in Windows Movie Maker, but as long as the WinFF and Mixcraft were going, then whatever was getting done was just on the backlog for Movie Maker. So it didn't matter. It didn't slow production down. My phone did just go off because I forgot to put it on silent. I hope that wasn't terribly loud or annoying. I knew I was forgetting something when I started doing this. But yeah, no, that is how I did the first several videos. And then I finally, I buckled down and I said, okay, let's take another look at this codec thing. And so I went and I got the codec pack, and it was harmless and painless. A little confusing because it just had so many options and stuff for people who know what they're doing. And then basically there was like the idiot proof one that said like, look, dude, if you don't know what you're doing, just like hit install, say yes to everything, don't tweak it. And so I was like, all right, I'll trust you. And from that moment on, I didn't have to do the WinFF thing anymore because Mixcraft would recognize an MP4. Now, I do still have to take the MP4, render it to a WMV, and then render it back to an MP4 with Movie Maker, which again is not effective. Depending on the video. I didn't have to do that really for King's Quest because I had to do it for the first 4 games. No, the first 3 games, because they did not have an audio option. And while there's not a lot of noise in the games, some of those sound effects could be pretty jarring. But once we got to Rosella, number 4, 5, 6, and 7, the last 4 games, those had volume control in it. So I didn't have to do that. I could just record myself in a single track, right along with the game audio, instead of having to do 2 tracks. And it was recorded in I recorded in an MP4 and then just uploaded in an MP4. Very, very straightforward, very done. And that was so nice. It was so nice. I know that, if I could just edit this stuff in Movie Maker, I wouldn't have to worry about any of this. But I can't wrap my head around Movie Maker. I have made some videos with Movie Maker, and by made videos, what I really mean is I managed to have like a couple different still images transition into each other, and while audio played underneath it. That is it. Nothing else. I've never been able to understand Movie Maker. It is incompatible with my brain. I've tried Blender, same thing. Mixcraft is not really a video editing program. It is an audio editing program that is designed to let you make like little music videos. And it's laid out in a way that works for me, even though I fully admit this is the most basswards way of doing something. I would much prefer to not do it, but I don't have like Sony Vegas or something to have it all laid out nice like that. So I work with what I've got. Well, what to go on to now? We're almost up to 20 minutes. I guess, well, I'm very proud of the fact that I don't want to lie to you, and I haven't pulled up the channel to go check this, because I'm a true professional. I'm fairly confident that I have managed to go bell to bell for 1 whole year and not miss a single month without uploading anything. Now there might be a month where I only uploaded one thing, but I'm pretty sure I did manage to pull off uploading something at least once a month for 12 straight months. And I'm really proud of that. I'm also very proud of the fact that, and I'm fully aware of, I guess the perk or benefit of being such a tiny, like a minuscule, tiny little channel, is that there aren't a bunch of people out there being buttholes. I haven't really had to deal with negativity, or like solid, like heavy amounts of criticism. And I have a perfect 100% like ratio. I have a 100% like to dislike ratio across all my stuff. It's great. It's absolutely great. And I've made it one whole year now without having a single dislike on anything I've made. So y'all can go dislike everything you want now. I'm happy. Some of the numbers have been kind of crazy. First of all, at least to the best of my knowledge, at the moment I'm doing this, of course, it could be that, like, as I'm speaking this, someone is like, I'm unsubscribing from you. But I've got like 32 subscribers, which kind of blows my mind that 32 people are miserable enough to listen to me, to listen to the drivel that I make. But that is pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that number. It's really wild to go back and look at some of the videos and see that they've got 600 plus views on them, on some of them. Which is wild to me, you know. But I have definitely also learned that YouTube makes no sense. Okay, and the reason I know this seems like a harsh segue, but you got to understand. I brought up the views, and that's what made me think about it. I didn't put tags on any of my videos, so like none of the King's Quest videos had like hashtag King's Quest anywhere on it, and they got fairly impressive views. For the MMO adventures, I said, okay, these are videos that I have labored hours upon hours, days, sometimes on like each individual video. Excuse me. Each individual video. So I guess I ought to actually market this in some way, shape, or form. Like, not market, but advertise it. And so I did I went down and I found out how to put tags on a video. And I put tags on there, good tags, I think, pertinent tags to the content. The videos that I put tags on have less views than the videos that didn't have tags on it. Like the thing specifically designed to make the video get more views did not seem to help it, and as far as I can tell, seems to have actively hindered it. But what you gonna do? I'm sorry for taking a pause. I'm just thinking about everything. I do feel like this whole thing has been very eye-opening in a lot of ways about video editing. And even though I'm not doing like marketing, even though I'm not pushing to have a career on YouTube, I think I can see the foundation of what a YouTuber has to do to get started. I think that whole process makes a lot more sense to me now. Getting active on social media, putting yourself out there, doing all sorts of different things, chasing algorithmic trends and hashtags and everything else, getting a private, like like getting, enough people interested that you open like a Discord server and all that other stuff. You hear people talk about it if you ever watch a video where someone's like, this is what you gotta do to get on YouTube, they'll talk about all the stuff you gotta do, and it doesn't necessarily make that much sense until you're looking at YouTube behind the screen and you're seeing like the numbers for average views and the drop off of views and subscribers going up and subscribers going down and what's this and what's that and why is this happening, so on and so forth. So it has been very eye-opening, not just for making videos in and of itself, but also for seeing what goes on the platform. And of course, like I said, it has also been very eye-opening that YouTube is a strange platform. I said this in the MMO retrospective, I think, or maybe it was the King's Quest retrospective. I mentioned that there was I think there's some ghosts in the machine. I think that's the term I used. Where I'll upload a video. The video's not done uploading. The second it's uploaded, it'll tell me I've got 3 different views on it, which is not possible. Or, like I said, just now, putting hashtags on a thing and it doing worse than something with no hashtags on it. It's very odd. YouTube makes no sense. I know I just talked about how I'm starting to understand it, and I follow it up with it makes no sense. I'll put it to you this way. I now understand how little sense YouTube makes. That's the best way I can frame it. I now understand how little sense YouTube makes. Or at least I have a better understanding, I should say, of how little sense YouTube makes. And it really doesn't make much at all. It doesn't. I would love to, in the future going forward, I'd love to learn more intricate details about video editing and whatnot. One that comes to mind is a channel that I love to watch, which is Mandalore Gaming. I would love to do videos. I would love to do videos like that far more than doing Let's Play series, right? The bulk of the stuff I put up is just to have something up, to just get experience and whatnot. But those are the things I'm actually drawn to, is where somebody takes the time to film what they're doing, then cut the film up into pieces, and then narrate over it, and give their opinion, whether it's a review or a commentary or showcase or whatever the case may be. That is what I really like. I love watching Seth Zanak. I love watching Mandalore Gaming. I love watching Indie Mouse. Videos like that, to me, are far more appealing, in general, than just watching someone play through it straight. And especially for someone like... Well, Indie Mouse actually recently got one going. But Mandalore just put out a video on one of my favorite games ever made, which is Myth: The Fallen Lords. And subsequently, he does have a video coming soon-ish, I suppose, for Myth 2: Soulblighter, which is probably even closer to my heart than Fallen Lords. And he talks about how there's, the grainy little QuickTime Player videos for the game, and somehow he manages to get that shitty little video perfectly formatted for a modern widescreen monitor. And if I tried to do it, it would be a giant black square with a tiny little video in the middle of it. I would love to know how to get in there and fix things like that. I would love to know how to get in there and kind of spruce some of that stuff up. Because let me tell you, for the EverQuest Project 1999 video, where I showed off the old advertisement from the VHS tape of A Knight's Tale. That was a pain in the tuchus. Let me tell you. That was horrendously tough to get done. I had rendered that whole video, and of course that's the very first thing that plays. The video opens with that, and it starts, and it was exactly what I just described to you. A tiny little video in the middle of a giant black box. It did not match the width or parameter of the rest of the stuff on screen. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with this? Because when I play it on its own, it does fit the screen. So I had to take it and render it on its own separately from the rest of the video, and then turn it into an MP4 with Movie Maker, and it adjusted the size of the video format, and suddenly Mixcraft didn't like it anymore. Even though it was an MP4, Mixcraft was like, nah. I know I just let you use the old funky one that doesn't work very well, but now that you've slightly cleaned it up better and singled it out, I don't want it anymore. So then I said, okay, well, I know for a fact that I could use something like 4K downloader to pull something off of YouTube. I'll just upload it onto YouTube on my main account or hidden on this account, whichever, and then I'll download the video I just uploaded from YouTube, so it has a YouTube format, because I know Mixcraft will accept it. And Mixcraft said, no, not going to do it. So my workaround for it was actually playing the video and then recording my own screen as I played through the video. So I had to start about 3/4 of the way through, hit play, have it set to loop, started to record full screen, recorded it down till it started over, followed it all the way through till it finished, ended the recording after it started, after it looped for a third time. Then I had to go in and trim it down to where it should be, and then attach it to the video, and that's what worked. But that is what I had to do. I had to record a recording in order to get it to work. That's, again, this is some duct tape ingenuity. And I'm sure that a person who knows what they are doing with a computer, who knows what they are doing with video files and formatting software, I am sure that person is sitting there shaking their head right now, and it is going to tell me that, the easiest solution to this was obviously just to turn around 3 times and snap my fingers, and it, just say a couple magic words over it, bibbidi bobbidi boo, and it would have been done. I'm not that person. I don't know what to do. I just had to get it done the only way I could think to do it. And it worked out. I mean, it worked out in the end. But, I would love to know how to avoid having to do stuff like that. Because it was pretty rough. Let's see. I'm trying to just think about what else do I want to talk about. These things so far, I mean, there's been two of them so far, and they go for about an hour. The MMO one went a little over. I'd like to shoot for about an hour, maybe a little under. I will definitely say that the King's Quest Marathon was the most eye-opening, the most individual project I've done that was eye-opening for work on YouTube, because it was every one upload every single day, and that's just what the algorithm likes, I guess. That's the biggest time that I saw my numbers going up. And it was certainly, like I said, it was the easiest thing to do, especially once I got to the fourth game, because I could just record it and roll. And when I was done, I was done. Boom, that video's, I don't even got to worry about it. The video's done. Here we go. Lock and load the next one. The MMO adventures and cutting them up like that is the most fun I've had doing stuff on the channel. Trying different things, experimenting with different things. And the MMO adventures gave me the opportunity to work around a bit of a problem of mine. Not really a problem, but I like to sing. I know. I have a soothing, dulcet voice, but I do. I like to sing, and I'll be doing something. I'll be recording a game, and I'll be going along, and I'll be talking about it, hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by the Mystery Channel. Here we are, skipping through the daisies, la-da-da-da-da. And then I'll get to a part where nothing's really happening. I don't really have something to talk about, and my mind starts to wander for a second. And then the next thing I know, I'm just like, I go a-walking out after midnight, out in the moonlight, oh, waiting for you. And then I'm like, oh, no, oh my gosh, no. And I've just, I've just sung randomly in the middle of this thing. And the MMO adventures gave me a great excuse to either A, just chop those bits out, because that's how that's how they were, I formatted them, chopping them up like that. Or I got a chance to do those little skits, like running with the mail in Lotro, or running through the jungle on DDO. It was a lot of fun to kind of have an excuse to get to put that in there, because as I said earlier, I do play music. I love music. I have a great love of music. That's why it took my friend almost, I think it was when King's Quest ended. My friend finally messaged me. One of my friends messaged me, and she said, "Are you titling these videos after songs?" And it took her like the entire series to catch not catch the references, but to catch on to the fact that there were references. If you go back and look at those videos, tons of the videos, not all of them, but just tons of those videos have some kind of song reference or musical reference in them. Some are more like just obligatory than others, I guess. I mean, using Sweet Dreams Are Made of This for King's Quest 7. It's kind of, I mean, it's a dream world and all that fun jazz. But, I think one of them is, I think Black Magic Woman is on one of them. There's a bunch. Oh, and then of course, like, heck, even the King's Quest retrospective, I think I titled that "What a Long Strange Trip It's Been." So I love slipping those little references into the video titles or into the videos somewhere. I think that's great, and it just something that makes me so happy. But speaking of my friend, actually, for a second, me and her have laughed a lot, because I have a few different friends who have been very nice and supportive. I've got, a good few who are the part of the subscriber count, but like only one of them ever bothers to comment. So she often looks like a crazy person because nobody else comments. She just comes off looking kind of insane. She's trying. I God bless her. God bless her heart so much that she wants to be like that good bud. You know, she wants to be that good pal and be that buddy who's being the wingman, the hype man, you know. And she is standing in the shadow of much lazier people who won't do it. They'll let me know in private. They'll send me a text message and they'll be like, "Yeah, that was pretty good." They won't bother to comment. Oh man. But you know, darling, you know who you are. I appreciate it. I appreciate every word you've written. I do. I really, really do. Well, I've rambled on for about 40 minutes here about how I used to do videos and what I started doing with videos and what was easy doing with videos and what was hard doing with videos and what I'd like to do with videos. So I guess I should probably take the next 10 to 20 minutes and talk about what I expect for the future of the channel, at least as of right now. I had planned on doing a couple different things for as we get on towards the end of the back end of the year here. You know, we're heading into August. And then I wanted to do probably here Quest for Glory with my friend who I just talked about in August, and I was thinking maybe of doing Myst in September, and then for October I wanted to do Barrow Hill, which is basically a Myst-like ripoff, but it's a horror version. And I didn't know what I'd do for November, but I had planned to do something kind of big for December. In contrast to last December, which had the very special Christmas special, but it was the only video the whole month. Because I couldn't really think of anything terribly Christmassy to play this year. I was thinking of doing a series on a game that came out around Christmas. And while the game itself is not very Christmassy in nature, it was one of those big Christmas releases. And I will go ahead and drop a little hint here for anyone who is a game nerd. It's a role-playing game, and it's probably one of the biggest and most influential role-playing games that ever came out in the Christmas season. Now, if you can't figure it out from that, then there's no help for you. But as it stands right now, it kind of looks like I'm not really going to have the time to do most any of those things. Maybe things will change and I could get together with my friend on like a dedicated schedule and we could do a game together, or maybe I could fit one of those series in. But right now, my life at this moment is just crazy. As I think probably most people's lives at this moment are kind of topsy-turvy. The whole world's kind of crazy at the moment, and America is very crazy. If anybody listening to this could not tell from my glorious accent that I am firmly American. Firmly? That That was the one. That's yeah. No, I think firmly American is a very good choice of words. Um, the country's in a terrible state where we're looking at like an economic collapse. Grocery store prices are through the roof. I'm working 3 different jobs and I'm running myself ragged trying to just scrape by. You know, everybody in the family is, you know, tossing into the pot, you know, and trying to make it on through. In addition to do well, and before I say that, right now the heat is just it's killer. It is so killer here, and it's only getting hotter as this western heat wave moves into the southeast. The humidity levels are through the roof. I've got 2 different friends who have just about dropped from a heat stroke, and it's rough. It's real rough. And like I said, everybody I know is running around just trying to do what we can do. And on top of that, I'm trying, not really succeeding right now, but I'm trying to write a book. It's not a political book, but it is a book that involves politics. I don't really know what to categorize it as, to be honest with you. It's one part angry manifesto, one part self-help, one part opinion piece. I don't really know. What it is it's a hard look at the world and life from the perspective of a young man or younger man who is an unknown person, right? Like the whole premise of talking from this angle is that I'm not a celebrity. I am not a a well-known political pundit or political figure or you know news like household name newscaster or internet star, social media influencer, celebrity, any of that jazz. You know, I'm a complete stranger to the world, and this isn't this is tackling some really hard stuff because life is full of hard stuff, and the whole premise is to kind of tackle that from the voice and the viewpoint of somebody who lives in it, you know, has to live down in the swamp, has to live down in the muck and mire of all the crap going on. I don't get to, you know, talk about it and then hop on my private jet and go back to my home in Beverly Hills at the end of the day. I got to go home to my rundown shack of a house and with a leaky roof and no track under the door and a crooked porch and then do it all again the next day. And I've actually written the bulk of it. It's the editing part that I just seem like I've run up against a brick wall. I sit down and I look at it, because I didn't write it in any particular order. I wrote it as the things I wanted to talk about came to me. And now I need to put them in order and expand on certain thoughts and clean up, you know, language or typos and stuff like that. And I said I've got so much material to work with, and I'm sitting down staring at it at a computer, and it's just like, damn. You know, I would have thought the heartache of kind of getting all that stuff out onto paper was the hard part. No, it's the organizing it. That's the hard part. So I'm trying to do that in addition to running myself ragged. I just don't have the time, really, to keep up with this little hobby here. It's kind of sad, but I don't have the time to do it, realistically. I also recently have had a couple pretty harsh blows in my life. I lost a dear friend of mine. He put himself down a path in life that changed him as a person, took him to places that I don't know if he's ever going to be able to really come back from. And he recently just completely turned his back and cut me off and cut off some other people and screwed a bunch of us over in the process of doing it. And then just kind of like, you know, he's on a dark path, and everybody in the world tried to help him, and he was just hell bent on going that way. And it's been a decade-long friendship, and even with all the struggles, I mean, it's a real blow. You know, it's the sort of thing that really takes the wind out of your sails. And on top of that, I recently lost a very dear family member. She passed away. And I'm not trying to give you too much information for a guy called Mr. E. But you know, I've said before, I live in Georgia. I was born in Virginia, and essentially she was pretty much my last tie to Virginia, in Virginia. My grandmother is still alive, but this was her older sister, and she was really the last tied to up home. And my friends used to tease me a lot about how, because I've got kind of a funny accent, if you couldn't tell. Some videos I do better hiding it than others, but I've got sort of a strange accent. It's this mix of Virginian and Georgian. But when it only took like 2 minutes on a phone call. Anybody who has an accent and they've gotten away from it, or it fades over time, you know exactly what I mean. It would only take like 2 minutes on a phone call back up home, and suddenly this accent turned into, well, I do suppose that's about how it goes. Well, I best be about the house. It's just right on back to this Virginian kind of thing. And my friends would tease me about it. They'd say, oh, you've been calling up home. And it sort of dawned on me that I'm never going to get to call up home again. And so that's been hard. It's been real hard. So I think really, realistically, I'm sort of in this position where I've got a lot on my mind and a lot on my plate, and I'm just stretched so thin that while I really wanted to push very hard to make sure that I got this month of July done and settled, I could really like pat myself on the back for getting done with, you know, with going a whole year. I think it's definitely time to say, like, you know, it's okay to skip a month without doing anything. It's okay to, you know, I've met my goal, basically, is what I'm trying to say. You know, I had an idea in my head for something I want to accomplish, and I've done it. I've gone one whole year, bell to bell, Didn't miss anything, I don't think. Certainly didn't miss anything this year so far. Like miss a month, I mean. And I feel accomplished. I feel satisfied. And I think going forward, I'm just gonna, pretty much all my plans for the big things I want to get done are kind of shot at the moment. So if I get to upload something, if I get the chance to, or if I really, not if I get the chance to, if I want to, if I feel the inspiration to, I probably will take it and I will put something up. But, and maybe I'll get, maybe there will come a time, get some wind in the sails and I can put like a series up or something. But for now, I think I'm very happy and ready to take a break, I think. I'm very happy to just kind of get to sit back and smile and say to myself, like, yeah, I did that. I had no idea what I was doing. I still really don't know what I've done or what I am doing. But I did it. I pulled it off. I did it on my own. And that makes me happy. That I feel the gratification of that. That it's a pretty awesome feeling. And I'm not stopping just because of any one particular thing. It's just I've sort of checked that off. Doing a YouTube thing was always kind of a bucket list item, and I've gone one whole year now. And I'm not never going to upload anything ever again, but I definitely think that I'm happy now to kick back and relax. I think it's going to be great. Personally. Sorry, my mind started to wander there a little bit. I've said before, I don't do scripts on these. If I scripted it, it would sound a lot better. But I kind of feel like part of the doing these sort of reflective videos is talking through what I'm feeling, and it's just as much for me as it is for something to put on the channel. It's also something for me to kind of go back and reflect on what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm looking at, how I feel like I've learned something. And I feel like if I script it, it comes off as being a little disingenuous. Not that scripting is bad. It's just that for the purpose of what I'm trying to do. I don't think educating myself should be scripted. I think this is all part of it. But anyway, one whole year. It's pretty nuts. I guess I can't really think of anything else I wanted to touch on. So I guess I'll take this chance to just say thank you. Thank you to anybody and everybody who has listened to this. Thank you to anybody and everybody who has watched or listened to any of the other videos that I've put up on the channel. Thank you if you are one of the subscribers. Thank you even if you're not a subscriber, even if you're just someone who watched something and maybe you're watching this. Just thank you. You've made this past year feel very special, and I appreciate that. I do, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for joining me this whole year on the Mystery Channel. I've been your host, Mr. E. I will continue to be your host, Mr. E. I'm gonna go make myself an Arnold Palmer. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.